Hello, welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk About It series for this year 2022. Welcome. So, the series that I'm going to be covering for this month, is actually going to be on what makes up a human being. The reason I decided to choose the series, What Makes Up a Human Being, is because for the longest time, I myself have had lots of confusions about this topic. And I'll explain why. Firstly, I'm going to start with this. So, a human being is made up of three components, and that is the body, the soul, and the spirit. People have all sorts of opinions about what a human being is or who a human being is, and if you did philosophy like I did, then you may also, you definitely hear all sorts of theories. But a human being is made up of a body, a soul, and a spirit. And I'm going to be delving into those three parts, body, soul, and spirit, individually each week. And like I said, for me, it was confusing, not the body part or the spirit part, but probably the soul part. And really the soul and the spirit, and just what those two things were, how they interact, what is made up of the soul, what makes up the soul, what makes up the spirit, all of this stuff. And I wasn't so sure about it. And the thing is that when you don't know what you're dealing with, when you don't know what's happening internally, you don't really know how to face the challenges that you go through in life, because you don't have the tools to be able to handle it. You don't have the knowledge and the information to be able to fight, because life is a battle and to be able to overcome what comes your way. So for me, it's been really, really helpful to be able to understand these three components. And if this is something that you are interested in finding out more about, then stay tuned, because I believe that you're going to find it really, really interesting. So firstly, one reason why I think this topic is so important is that we can use it to our advantage. One thing that we can do is that once we understand how this all works, we kind of understand the mechanism of our being, right? And we understand how to harness each one, how to work on each one, how to isolate, parts of your person that you want to work on. Because I'm sure we hear this all the time, personal development, personal development, personal development. And sometimes you're wondering, like, okay, I know I'm supposed to be working on myself, but how exactly does that look like? Like, how do I work on myself? So hopefully, I believe that this series is really, really going to show you how you can start working on each part of yourself in order to make yourself a better version of yourself. And that is essentially what personal development is. We are all unique, but we can always be a better version of ourselves. And when we develop ourselves and we grow, then we can be a better version of ourselves. So the body. Well, firstly, the body is the easiest part to identify. I think every human being would agree that yes, a human has a body, because we can all see it with our physical eyes. And the body, many people have also varying opinions about the body. Some people think that, because the body is all we can see, that's all we should focus on. And that's all there is. While other people think that actually the body is the least of our focus. What we need to be focusing on is what is on the inside of us, what we can't see, who we are internally and what we look like, and our physical form really doesn't matter. So there's also, and then there's obviously different opinions in between. So there's all sorts of opinions about that. But I think from my sort of experience in life, which is what I'm sharing with you guys, I believe that the body is very, very important. And I believe that we need to care for our body. And as a Christian, I believe that the body is important because it is the physical carriers of our life on this earth. And so whatever happens to the body essentially happens to our life. And if our body stops being sustainable to carry life, so if something happens to our body, that means, that we're not able to live anymore, we die, right? And regardless of how great we are on the inside, if our body has been completely damaged, irreversibly, that it's no longer able to sustain life, we die. And that's the end of that. That's the end of our life on this side of eternity. And I believe that means that the way we think about our body and the priority we place on our body is important. The other thing about the body is a puppet, essentially. And what do I mean by that? Essentially, the body doesn't have a mind of its own. The body is completely controlled by our mind and our thoughts and who we are. And that is separate from the body. And a very good example of this is, if somebody is brain dead, or if somebody is in a coma, they are not aware of who they are, they're not aware of themselves, their faculties, their consciousness, which is all in the mind, isn't there, then it doesn't matter how perfect their body looks like, they cannot function at all. So it shows you that the body is important, but it is completely controlled by our mind and the other parts of who we are. I think that's really important, that we need to prioritize what controls our bodies even more than the body itself. So with all of that being said, firstly, I'm going to delve into how we can develop our bodies, right? How we can improve our bodies as part of self-development, as part of developing ourselves. And I've written down 4 points that we need to pay attention to in terms of looking after our bodies. So the first one, and to be honest, it's not in order of importance, because they're all important. You can't take one out of the equation. All of them matter. So the first one I've written down is hygiene. It is important for us to keep our bodies clean. First of all, I studied science, and I studied a lot about, how our bodies and the environment and disease all interact with one another. So basically, just keeping your body clean on a day-to-day basis will avoid so many conditions and diseases that exists. So it will avoid a lot of bacterial infections, it will avoid a lot of fungal infections, and it will just help you to be healthier, really. So you've got to keep yourself clean, super important. Keeping yourself clean, that's taking a good shower or a bath, and using soap, not just water, but you've got to use something to cleanse out the dirt. So that's super important. It will help you to feel fresh. It will basically taking off the dead layers of skin from your body, so you're revealing younger, more beautiful skin underneath. So keeping yourself clean is super important. And another part of keeping yourself hygienic is smelling good, making sure that you smell good. And there are 2 ways to do this. Number 1, using a deodorant under your armpit, because that's usually what brings out a lot of the smell, and also using perfume. It's just important for you to be presentable, because God wants us to be presentable. The Bible talks about our bodies being the temple of God, of the living God. So we are basically his physical reps on this earth, right? We are his representative. And so the way we look, how we smell, how we present ourselves is all part of that. So tied in with smelling good is also looking good. So making sure that you're dressed nicely. And when I say nicely, I mean neatly. So being able to iron your clothes. You don't have to have the most expensive clothes, but you just need to be able to look neat and presentable. And I think that is going to go a long way to portraying, God to the world in the best possible way. But the other part of that, of looking after our bodies, is what we put inside the body. Because there's the stuff that we've done on the outside, which is what I've just spoken about. But then there's the stuff that we're putting inside us. And many of us, many times, we don't prioritize this. We don't put as much attention and care into this part. But the thing is that what we put inside us is what makes us. Again, from a science perspective, literally the way our bodies develop, the way our cells function, the way we look like, the way everything works on the inside of us is dependent on what we are putting inside of us, and I mean what we eat. And so we want to actually ensure that we understand what a healthy and balanced diet is. That is super important. Making sure that it's healthy and it's balanced. So you want to have a bit of everything there, right? Your fruit and veg, your dairy, or milk, and if you're allergic to stuff, finding alternatives, good alternatives. You want to have your like fiber, and all the other parts of what makes up a healthy diet. And then finally, you want to stay hydrated, especially now that we're in summer. Very, very important. Obviously I can't go into all the science of that. This is stuff that you can check up online and research, but you want to make sure that you are feeding your body, your internal self, with the best possible things, because that is what is going to make sure that you are your best as a physical person. Then the third part of that is keeping fit. It's exercising. Yes, this is so important. I was mind blown studying exercise at university and just understanding how important it is. Do you know that people who exercise literally elongate their lives by like a massive factor, basically? If you don't exercise, you can guarantee that you will live shorter than you're supposed to live. It's that serious, because exercise stimulates your entire system to work. That's what exercise does. It's super important. And please don't kid yourself that just walking up the stairs is exercise. No, you've got to do intentional, consistent exercise. And you can't do exercise once a month. It's not enough. Like, you've got to do it consistently. So whether it's twice a week, and have a schedule, twice a week, 3 times a week, or you can do it every day for 15 minutes a day or 20 minutes a day, but that exercise is so important. It keeps you vitalized. It keeps all your bones working. It keeps you your cells ticking over. It keeps all the functions going on internally that we don't see. It keeps that working. I can't overemphasize how important it is to take our time to exercise our bodies. As busy as life gets, we're like, how can we fit this in? But it is super important to fit that in for your physical well-being. So finally, the last point is avoiding what would cause you bodily harm. So for example, smoking, getting drunk from alcohol, other things that affect our bodies negatively. Some of the creams and stuff actually really damage our bodies, damage our cells, and they're hurting us. The thing is that we've got to care for this body, because this is our only license to stay on this side of eternity. It's our only license. So it is so important that we are avoiding harm. And then also not finding yourself and not putting yourself in places where you could get harmed. As ladies around the house, or as guys around the house, just being careful of the little things like hot water, bleach, all of these like stuff, hot things, the iron, things falling down, just taking that little bit of time just to pay attention to make sure that you are avoiding things that could cause your body harm. And it all goes a long way to protecting your physical body, because it is important for us to do that. So that's it from me today. Thank you for watching, and like I said, stay tuned for the rest of the series where we'll delve into the other parts of what makes up a human being. Until then, God bless and peace out. Oh, and I forgot to add something else. So sleep is also, and rest is also very, very important for our bodies. It will kill you faster than not eating will kill you, lack of sleep. Because during the time of sleep, that's when the body gets to repair itself, gets to clear out all the toxins. So sleep, very important.